I specifically want to talk about a topic that isn't really talked about very, very well among like women and people in my age group, and I think is really, really important to know about, and a conversation that needs to be normalized. In my last video, I talked about how to grow your money, and I kind of mentioned like budgeting and saving and investing. And in this video, I thought I would specifically go into how to budget and save. Social media is a huge influence on how we spend our money these days. It's not uncommon to find yourself buying items because it was recommended to you by somebody else on social media. And not that that is a bad thing. It's just most of us don't really think about what we're buying. We just simply think that we need it because everybody else has it. When I was growing up, my parents always told us that we needed to make our own money, and we don't have to depend on them for money. So when I first started making money on my own, I made about 150,000 on like my first real business, and all of that money just went away in like a flash. As easy as the money came, it went away so easy because life is so expensive, and it's so easy for all of that money to just slip right through our hands if we're not careful about our spending and how we budget our money. If financial freedom is at the top of your priority, then it's very important for you to start being disciplined about how you spend your money and what you choose to spend it on. If you overspend your money living paycheck to paycheck, eventually in the long run, you're not going to have any money saved up for you to live off of. And if you plan to retire early, well, you need to start making better financial decisions. So let's talk about how to budget and save your money. If this is your first time budgeting and saving money, I'm going to make it very, very easy for you to understand. I'm going to talk about how I save my money and kind of show you how I do it so that you could do it as well. But as a disclaimer, I am not a financial advisor, and this is not professional advice. So take everything that I say with a grain of salt and do your own research before you do any of these things that I'm even saying. All right, let's jump into this video. So first off, budgeting. If you have no idea what budgeting is at all, like I'm just going to assume that you don't have an idea of what budgeting is and what it's about. So it's this idea that you partition your money in a way that X amount of your money goes to things in like a specific category. Let me explain. Like if you live on your own and you have to pay rent, you have to pay for your internet, you have to pay for gas and other things that you need to spend your money on. Budgeting is just like saying, I'm going to spend 5,000 naira on my internet, I'm going to spend 10,000 naira on my gas, I'm going to spend like 100,000 naira on my rent every single month. That is kind of the idea around budgeting. That's kind of how budgeting is in simple terms. But if you don't make a stable income like me right now, my income varies month to month, and so it's kind of tricky to budget my money because it's not like I make the same amount of money every single year and every single month, and I just like fill in the boxes and like put the same amount of money every single month. So it's kind of tricky, and it's going to vary for everyone. Like budgeting for yourself if you live alone and budgeting if you have a family to take care of is going to be very, very different, and it's going to vary person to person. So like it's going to be different for everyone. So depending on what you need to budget for, depending on like the size of your family, depending on how much you make, it's going to vary. So it's different for everyone. All right, if this is your first time budgeting, it's good to kind of start off with the 50-30-20 rule. So 50% goes to like your essentials, like your rent, your gas, your water, and like your 50% of your money goes to like your essentials, like your rent, your gas money, like your essentials, like your utilities, things like that, things that you have to pay for in order to keep living or maintaining the lifestyle that you have. So like your essential expenses, that is what 50% of your money goes to. Then 30% of your money will go to your non-essentials. This is where you get to play around and like buy things that you want, things that you don't necessarily need, but things that you just want, nice to have things, not things that you need to have, but things that are like nice to have. Like, I don't need to have this new handbag or this new phone, but it's kind of nice to have. So it's kind of like where you get to be a little bit creative and play around with what you're spending on. And like the 20% of your money goes to like saving and investing and things of that sort. Easy, right? Another thing you need to know about is tracking your expenses. Now, tracking your expenses, I see it as part of saving and budgeting. I kind of feel like budgeting and saving kind of goes hand in hand, because the reason why you budget your money is so that you can spend on the things you really need to be spending on and save the remaining money. And saving is even possible if you first start budgeting. So tracking your expenses kind of comes in between. It's like the butter in between the bread, like it mushes them tightly together, you know what I'm saying? So like really what tracking your expenses is. Now visualize the 30% of your money that you need, the 30% of your money that you are spending. Now this 30% of the pie chart is where you get to like be creative and playful. Not really playful, but like where you get to buy those nice to have items, right? But tracking your expenses is very important in this area, because it's good to know where the 30% of the money is going to exactly, and specifically on what item. It's easy for you to just write takeout or handbag or new phone, but it's better to track your money and write new phone, 50,000 naira. Like, I'm just giving an example. New phone, 50,000 naira. New book, 5,000 naira. New handbag, X amount of money, so that you know exactly what item in that 30% is consuming the most amount of money, and if it was really, really necessary in the first place to spend that amount of money on that item, even if there's freedom within that 30% for you to spend, like, it's better to track your money to know, was it really, really necessary for me to spend this amount of money on a new phone? Did I really, really need to spend that kind of money on a new phone? So that is kind of why tracking is essential, because if you really don't need to spend that kind of money on a new item or a new phone, you can just push that money to savings, and you have a lot more money to save and a lot more money to invest for the future. Next would be saving. Now, if you've never really saved your money before, or you've never been really strategic about saving your money before, I'm just going to give you kind of like a template that you could follow to save your money, but you don't have to do it this way. You could do it any way that you want. Like I said, there are so many ways to save your money, but this is kind of like a template for those that are starting off saving for the first time and you don't know how to go about it. So the first thing would be to rethink your luxury. Look at yourself. Everybody pays for something. Everybody pays for something. If you're a girl, you probably pay for your hair, a new wig, to do your nails, anything. Everybody pays for something. Guys probably pay for new phones, new shoes, to get your nice haircut, things of that sort. So kind of rethink what you spend on, kind of rethink your luxuries, and do you really need to spend on those items? What can you cut to save more? Like for me, I can actually cut on like spending so much money on my hair by buying a good wig that will last me so many years, so that I don't have to keep spending money to get my hair done every single time. Also, I never do my nail. I never get my nails done. I can just simply paint my nails with like a nail polish that I got for like 150 naira instead of paying somebody 1,005 or 2,000 to paint my nails. I can easily just save money on my nails by doing it myself. So rethink your luxury. What can you cut back on? What do you really need, and what are the things that you don't really need, and what can you DIY to help you save some money? Next, you need to think about your long-term and short-term goals for saving. So what are the things that you need to save for long-term, and what are the things you need to save for in the short term? For your long-term goals, you could be saving for retirement, or you could be saving for a new house or something like that. So you need to think about your saving in short term and long term. If you are saving in the short term, it could be because you are trying to get a new purse that your 30% can't actually afford at the moment. So you could be saving for that in the short term. You could also be saving for like Christmas. I know a lot of people do this. You save like early in the year so that you can be able to splurge on like Christmas or during the holidays. Almost everyone does this. Like a lot of people do this, and it's a common way of saving. But you need to look at your savings that way. Especially if this is like your first time saving, like kind of find the things that you really need right now and the things that you don't really need right now, but it's essential to start saving for them. Like you don't really need a new car right now. Like for me, I really don't need a new car because I'm not going anywhere. Like I hardly even leave my house, so why am I even saving for a car, right? But I know that later on in the future I will probably need a car to be able to take me around. So if you want to start saving for a car, it's good to start saving for it now. Or you're saving for retirement, you can start saving for your retirement right now, which is very essential. I'm going to talk about sinking funds and why they're important in one of my future videos. I do this a lot and I think it's very important. It's also a way of saving money for items that you need, but more on that in my future videos. Next, you need to understand what are your wants and what are your needs. A lot of people have really failed in this department to really understand what are the things that I want and what are the things that I need to save for. Like, you don't need to save for a new phone. You might want to save for a new phone because it's nice to have. It's good in a mirror selfie. It's faster. It has a lot more storage. Great. But do you really need it? Is your old phone or the current phone that you're using right now, does it serve the purpose that a new phone would do? Like, would serve as well? Like, the only difference between your current phone right now and your new phone could just be like the RAM size, and you are saving a lot of money for that phone. So you really need to think about it, like, do I really need this or do I really want this? So find out for yourself what are your needs, what are your wants. It's going to vary for very different people. Like for me right now, like, a new phone is just a want. I don't need a new phone. My phone does the job for me perfectly. I can call on my phone. I can use my social media on my phone. I can do everything that I need to do that a phone does. I can do it with my phone. But a new phone would be nice to have because it will have a better camera or like bigger RAM size and things like that. So really think about it. I understand that if you are spending on one thing, you are if you spend more on one item, you have less money to spend on something else. So if you want to save money, just know that the amount of money that you would be able to save eventually over time is very dependent on how much you choose to spend now. So really see the things that are your wants and your needs, and if you really don't need it, like, don't spend on it, no matter how cheap it is. If you really don't need it, don't spend on it. I do this a lot. Like, if I've had a long day, I'm just gonna be like, oh, I need a Coke right now, I need to drink a Coke right now. Like, I need to just sit down and chill, and then I'll buy gala, and then I'll buy Coke, and I'll just eat and enjoy myself. Yes, but like I can just take a very cold water and it serves the same purpose of refreshing me after a long day. So if you don't really need to spend on a Coke or those little small expenses that we just tend to dismiss, don't spend on it, because if you spend on that Coke, that's like 100 naira that you would have put into savings for your future. And like if you calculate 100 naira over the span of a month, that's a lot of money that you really don't need to spend compared to spending money on water. Like the difference is obviously there, but you're not going to see it if you just keep dismissing those really tiny expenses, you know, like leaving your change or like buying those little tiny expenses because they are just 50 naira, they're just 100 naira, they're just 200 naira. Like really think about what you're spending your money on. Do you really need it? Do you not really need it right now? Like, do I really need this item? Good for me, bad for me, right now, wrong now? Find out the answer to those questions for yourself. What I need is not going to be what somebody else needs. You know, do you understand? So just figure that out by yourself. It's going to be very different for everyone, okay? It's going to be different for everyone. Last thing is to really check your circle, because you are very influenced by your circle. The people that you engage with, talk with every single day will really impact the way you live your life. If you're around people who always talk about frugal living, personal finance, people who talk about saving, investing, budgeting, guess what? You're going to start budgeting, saving, investing. Like, even if you don't really know how to do it, it's going to be on your mind that, oh my God, I probably need to find out what investing is or how to invest or things like that, because you're around like people who think about these things or people who do these things every single day. And if you're around people who like always say, oh my God, there's something new I need to get, this new phone just came out, this new laptop just came out, you will always feel like you need to always get something, or you always feel like you're missing out by not spending on this thing that they're talking about or that thing that everyone is talking about. So just really evaluate your circle of friends, like people that influence you day to day. Like, really evaluate them. Are they causing you to spend more money? Are they allowing you like to save more money? Like, evaluate your circle. Do they influence your spending habits? And don't forget that your personal finance is personal to you, and everybody's journey is different. Everybody's spending is going to be different depending on what they need to spend on, depending on the size of family they have, depending on what is a need or a want to them. So if your circle is really influencing your spending habits, you need to check it out. Alright, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If this was your first time budgeting or saving, I hope I was kind of able to give you like a template to begin with. I hope it was able to help you if this was your first time going into saving and budgeting and like tracking your finances. And I hope you really got something out of this video. If you did, don't forget to subscribe and drop a like on this video, and don't forget to comment down below what are the ways that you implement to save your own money. What do you do to budget? Like, do you use an app to budget? Do you use a spreadsheet? Like, do you budget on a piece of paper? I still budget on a piece of paper. I still do. So like, let me know down below what are the ways that you use to budget your own money. Like, what do you do to save more money? What are the things that you've kind of like pushed aside or you've cut off to make sure that you save more money? And if this was your first time hearing about some of the things I shared in this video, let me also know down below. Alright, I'll see you guys in my next video. Take care. Bye.